Welcome to the Tea Factory podcast. Thank you for stopping by to check out this video. Please subscribe to the channel so you can be notified whenever we upload a new video. Also, please comment and like this video so it can push this video out to the algorithm so it could be sent out to the masses. Other people can see the video so they can view it, perhaps, get some subscription off of it. But please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And thank you for stopping by to view this video and to review this episode with me. So today the commentary and review is going to be on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16, Episode 16. This episode is called Chicken and Waffles. I believe it's called Chicken and Waffles because not only because they had the chicken and waffle cooking contest with Charles and Kelli, but also because her restaurant is Nana's Chicken and Waffle. So I thought it was a cute name. So this episode opens up with Shamea at the doctor's office with her girls, Shia and Shiloh, and they all had the same outfit on, at least the same material of the same outfits. So they look cute. They were all twinning, and I know Shamea was happy to be back home with her babies, especially Shiloh, to be able to take her to the doctor. She took her to the doctor, I guess. Shamea said when she came home from Grenada, she had strep throat, so she was afraid that she may have gotten the baby sick. So she took the baby to the doctor, which I don't blame her, Better be safe than sorry. And for those of you who don't know, her baby Shiloh was born by a surrogate, and she had to be born early because the surrogate ended up having cancer. So Shiloh was born early, and so she's have health complications. And we're going to talk about this again a little bit later on. It's either this episode, with regards to her and Britt. So we're going to dive into that again. So, so she took her to the doctor, and the doctor said she's fine. She was okay. She didn't get the baby sick. The doctor was teasing her, saying, well, this time you didn't get her sick. So all is well with that. So next we have, the next scene we have Phaedra at her house with her sons, and her son is learning how to sew. She said her son wanted some jeans that they didn't, but they didn't have them in his size. So she encouraged him to make his own pants. So she told him she would buy him a sewing machine and that he could start sewing and make his own pants. And that's exactly what he did. Her son Dylan, her youngest son. She has two boys. So Dylan wants to be a fashion designer, and it looks like he may become a fashion designer one day, if he keeps it up. Because, kids at that age, they want to, this is what he wants to do now. This is his hobby, his interest, and this is something that he enjoys and likes to do now. But 5-10 years from now, he may change his mind. He might decide he wants to do something else. So for now, this is what he wants to do. And she's encouraging that and, and helping him grow in his desire to be a fashion designer or making clothes. He can be a tailor. So I think that's wonderful. And he's so cute, and he seems so passionate about it. So, this might be something that he does for the rest of his life. But like I said, who knows? Because kids at that age, being a parent, honey, I know they can switch up on you. But for now, she's, doing what she can as a mother to encourage him. So she bought him a sewing machine, so he's sewing. And then her sons are cute. So there was, I don't know, some guy was with them. I don't know if he's his mentor or his teacher or instructor, but he didn't speak. Well, he did speak, actually. He did speak. But I kind of would like to hear a little bit from him. She could have spoken to him and on camera and asked them a few questions or introduced them to us. But, he was just lingering in the background. So I'm just going to assume that he is his mentor. So then she asked her other son, the oldest one, forgot his name. I know the youngest is Dylan. Child, I forgot what the oldest one's name is. But anyway, so she asked him, so she was like, well, what are you going to do? And she said that he says that he's going to be his fashion advisor. He's going to be the manager for Dylan and assist him with his fashions. And Dylan says that one day he wants to get his own warehouse. And then Phaedra, told him that she's going to have a black glove event where she's going to invite the girls and her friends. And Dylan's going to have a fashion show. And then they're going to, pull out their credit cards and spend some money and purchase some items. And she plans on having it at the Ivory, which is one of her friends' shop. So I thought that was wonderful. So that was that scene. And then we have Kelli going to her divorce meeting, so they're showing her going to the divorce for the umpteenth time. So she goes to court, and then she's still not divorced. The divorce is not final. Apparently, he wasn't paying child support, so the judge ended up sending him to jail because her ex-husband, he's her ex-husband now, but at the time they were still married, her husband was not paying child support. And Shamea comes over to comfort her, and to just, be there for her and talk to her while she's going through this difficult time of trying to get a divorce from her husband. And then it's funny because Angela ends up calling her. So when they do that, it's like, does the producer tell them, okay, you need to call you need to call Kelli now because she just had court today and she left court. So you need to call her so it can make this scene. Because to me, it seemed rehearsed and just out of nowhere because we know Kelli and Angela are not close. They're not close. So for her and Shamea are though. Her and Shamea. So first let me say this, get this point out. Kelli and Angela are not close. So for Angela to just call her, not necessarily out of the blue, but to call her and say, oh, I heard you went to court. Or how are you? You went to court today. How did it go? And to kind of just call her to be nice and comforting, which is fine. I have no problem with that. But it also felt staged to me. It didn't feel organic because they don't have that type of relationship. And I don't think she knew that she had court that day. And she was like, oh, let me call her. I just felt like it was produced. It just did not feel organic. But nevertheless, Angela called her while Shamea was over there. And then even Shamea was like, well, that's nice that she called and checked on you. Because she probably was feeling the same way I'm feeling. Because that's like out of left field. Obviously, it seemed like one of the producers probably told Angela to call so it can make a scene, to move the storylines. And so Shamea's there comforting her and talking to her. And you can tell that Shamea and Kelli have become very, very close. Like they're the new besties now. Britt is kicked to the curve, kicked to the curve like the trash can, or an old tire or an old mattress. You know how when you're driving down the freeway, especially here in Atlanta metro area, like you will be driving down the freeway minding your own business on 285, 75, 85, and you'll look over and you'll see a mattress, a couch, tires, trash, dead animals, just all kinds of crap. And you're like, what? Like, how did they even get there? But that's what you see, kick to the curve. And that's what Britt was. that's what Kelli did to Britt. Okay. She kicked her to the curve. Like like I said, like the trash and miscellaneous items that you see on the freeway here. So her and Shamea and Kelli are besties now, honey. They're like the new, what's it called, Frit and Frat, the new Phaedra and Portia. So then they do a flashback of Britt and Kelli's friendship. And Kelli, was telling Shamea that she was always there for Britt and Britt never did anything for her. You know, when that incident happened with Kenya and Britt, Kelli was there for her. You know, she did the IV thing. She had the IV nurse, you know, and then when she had her event at the country club, Kelli was there. She came with flowers. That is true, though. If you go back, and they did do a flashback, it is true. Kelli was always there for Britt. Like, she was always holding her down. When that shit happened with Britt and Kenya, Kelli was on Britt's side, you know, and she was the first one to leave, and she was the first one to talk shit. And so all those flashbacks that they did to show Kelly's devotion and friendship and loyalty to Britt, it is true. We really didn't see Britt doing the same thing for Kelli. So that was true. I do have to agree with Kelli in that regard. So next they show everybody receiving a black box invitation for Dylan's fashion show at the Ivory. The first person that they show is Cynthia at Lake Bailey. She receives the black box. And then they show, you know, the rest of the girls receiving the invitation to come to the Dylan's fashion show. So next they show everybody at Williams-Sonoma for the cooking competition. You have Angela, Drew, Kelli, and Phaedra there. Kelli says that she's a brand ambassador for Williams-Sonoma. She has a relationship with them. So they were at the one at Ponds. I thought they were probably going to be at Lenox, but is there one at Lenox? But anyway, they were at Ponds, Williams-Sonoma. And then Charles and Kelli are having a showdown, a cooking competition. You know, I have to say, I like Charles. Charles has grown on me. I like him. He talks shit in his confessionals. And he's like, you know, he's no nonsense. You know, he's a man's man. Okay? He is a man's man. Like, Charles is not, you know, he's not here for the games. He's not here for the bullshit. He don't have time. He said he too old for this shit. And hey, I'm with him because I feel the same way about certain things. I'm with you, Charles, you know? And then in his confessional, he was talking so much smack. He was like, you know, he's ready for the competition. You know, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, which is true because that's one of my favorite sayings as well. And then Charles says, you know, there's a lot of people who have restaurants and they can't cook. That's true, too. That's true. There's a lot of people that have restaurants, that own restaurants, and they can't cook a worth a lick. But they hire chefs, though. That's what they do, though. They hire chefs and people that can cook, you know. They're just behind the money. Just like with Dennis. He can't sing and stuff like that, but he's behind Drew's music because, you know, he's the money behind it. So that is true, Charles, but those people who can't cook, who own restaurants, are usually the financial behind the restaurants. And then Angela was like, well, I can cook a little bit of some. And he was like, okay. I mean, what did he tell her? He said she just walks around the kitchen. And she was like, what? Like, he's always talking smack. He's always talking smack, and he's always embarrassing Angela. So anyway, everybody's at the Williams-Sonoma. Not everybody, but Angela, Drew, Kelli, and Phaedra. So then the girls are talking about Kelli and Britt's friendship again. I was like, what? Oh, gosh. Again, it's like they always like find one subject and everybody just chews on it until the cows come home. Like they just chew and chew on it. So now Kelli and Britt friendship is the new topic. Kelli says that, you know, they asked, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Drew or Angela asked Kelli if she had spoken to Britt. She says, no, I have not spoken to Britt since Grenada. And then, you know, their relationship is not the same, which is true. I mean, their relationship went south in Grenada, you know, and then her and Shamea, Kelli and Shamea got really close, you know, and then how I said on that one episode, they came dressed as twins and they had that was ugly. I didn't like that outfit that they had. The material was ugly. The outfit was ugly. The swimsuits, whatever the hell it was. I don't care for it, but since, you know, that's when they started falling out. That's when Britt and Kelli started falling out. So Drew in her confessional says, she's like, something's not right. Okay, something is not clean in the buttermilk or in the, what she say, waffle mix, whatever the hell she said. Yeah, I ain't gonna. Drew does shade in her confessionals. With Drew in her confessionals, she always shading somebody. And I thought that was funny. She always have something to say. But I agree with Drew. Something's not right. They fell out. So, they really gonna find out. So the next is Cynthia and Portia came over to Britt's house. So Britt invited Portia and Cynthia to her house because she's trying to get to know the girls and she's trying to have people on her side. I feel like she's trying to get in where she can fit in. And I feel like she's trying to build an alliance. And it looks like, because Britt knows that Shamea and Portia's relationship is on the rocks, they're not as close as they used to be. So she's like, okay, well, if I can get in cool with Portia, I'm in there like swimwear. Okay, I'm in there. And she would be, because Portia and Shamea, you can just tell they're not rocking with each other anymore. So that would have been perfect for her, because now that we know, fast forward, now that we know that Britt is not going to be there next season and she's suing the network, we can talk about it now because we're on episode 16, and I know I'll be taking forever to do my reviews, but everybody knows. So my thing is this. Britt should have gave it a chance. Like, she should have just hung in there. She should have gave it a chance instead of just quitting and then trying to do a money grab and trying to sue Bravo. She should have just stuck it in there, because she never know what could have came of it, but she couldn't hang. I think the fact that the fans were coming for her, people over all social media calling her names, calling her a hoe, speaking bad about her husband, she's not cut for this. She couldn't handle it. So she said, look, I'm going to quit. Not only am I going to quit, but I'm also going to sue you guys. That's what Britt did, So, so then Portia and Cynthia come over, and she's, Britt's telling them that they start talking about Shamea, basically, really. So Britt's telling them Shamea has been talking about Portia, and that she saw that Shamea showed her and Kelli some text messages between Shamea and Portia. And then Portia was like, what? She's still talking about me? But I thought we had squashed that, We had squashed it. So why is she still talking about me? Portia looked surprised. She did, honestly, because even though they're not as close as they used to be, they're not beefing in Portia's eyes. Portia's eyes, like, okay, it is what it is, She's over there, I'm over here, we're not fighting. We talked, we squashed it. I thought we had an understanding. So Portia was actually very surprised to hear that Shamea was still talking shit about her behind her back, and you can tell that she was taken back. But at the same time, I feel like Britt was being messy because she was really trying to come between Shamea and Portia and trying to get in and fit in the middle. Even though their relationship is already rocky, she's just adding more fuel to the fire. Okay. Let's see. So then, sorry, y'all. Hold on. Okay. So then, yeah. So Britt, I'm sorry, y'all. So then Britt is saying, listen, Shamea showed her the text messages. Portia says to, she said that her and Shamea were cool. And then it seems as though Britt was trying to build an alliance with Cynthia and Portia, like I said already. And then they show Kelli in her confessional saying that she did tell the glam team not to work with Britt because Britt was at her house telling Cynthia and Portia that the real reason and one of the main reasons why her and Kelli fell out is because Kelli told her glam team to not work with her. And then Britt was saying, and then she also told that the glam team can work with Shamea. So she was like, y'all can work with Shamea, but y'all can't work with Britt. So, obviously, again, they fell out. They're not, she's not messing with her anymore. But my thing is like, how are you going to sit here and talk all that, Kelli, how are you going to sit here and talk all that smack and say you don't want your glam team to work with Britt, but then you have them working with Shamea? So it's like, do you want them to work with other people or not? And if you do, then why is it a problem that they're working with Britt? And I'm not saying this because I like Britt or I'm taking up for Britt because I really don't care for Britt, but it's like what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. So I feel like the only reason why Kelli had a problem with her glam team working with Brittany is her real name, actually, guys. She just goes by Britt for short. Britt is because maybe she was jealous that Britt was starting to look cute. Because Britt, let's be honest, she's a pretty girl. Her face is pretty. She has a pretty face. With or without makeup, she's pretty. Her body is banging. Yes, her buttocks are BBL. We know it's a BBL. She says it's a BBL. But she don't even have to say it's a BBL. We know it's a BBL. And then I also think her stomach is like taped or whatever. Because if that one scene, I don't know if you saw her stomach, but it didn't even look normal. But you can tell her stomach was surgically done. So she's all plastic, but she still looks good nevertheless. So I feel like it was jealousy because for her to not have them work with Britt, but then you have them working with Shamea because now Shamea is your new bestie. So that right there, I will have to be on Britt's side. Kelli, you're foul for that. Next scene, there are Williams-Sonoma and we're back to Williams-Sonoma at the cookout, at the cook-off between Charles and Kelli. They're making waffles and chicken. Drew said that Charles' waffles was so good, it took her back to her grandmama's house in Chicago. It took her right back to that memory. And then she said Kelly's tasted like soul food. It tasted like soul. So then Angela said, oh, well, it's a tie. It's a tie. Now, I don't know if Angela was like quick to say it was a tie because she didn't want anybody to say Charles's wasn't good or whatever. And I don't think anybody was going to say that. Drew gave him a compliment. She gave him a really good compliment. She said it was good. It reminded her of her grandmama's house. And then Angela was like, yeah, it's a tie, it's a tie. I don't know. The vibe wasn't there for me right there. But from the looks of it, it seems like maybe Charles did win that. I'm sorry. I wanted somebody to win. I wanted it to be a clear winner and a clear loser. I didn't want a tie. But Angela was quick to call a tie. Okay. And then it's like, why you get to call the tie? There was other people eating. There was other people on the panel, like Phaedra and that other lady. And, but Drew said Charles first. So I'm going to go with what Drew said. Like I said, I don't care for Drew, but I've found myself, I side with a lot of stuff that Drew says, because I'm always like, listen, whether I like you or not, if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. That's what I'm rocking with. Then at the Williams-Sonoma cookout, this random man comes and says to Angela that Charles is cheating on her. Something about, he knows something about Charles. He heard something about Charles. And Angela's like, who are you? I don't even know you. Okay, production, what is going on? What is going on, production? This random man just comes up to Angela and says, I know some things about your husband. Your husband has came into my restaurant with another woman. How does he get to come up to Angela to say that? First of all, there's no security for the cast, and they're filming, and Charles was right there, but Charles didn't hear him, though. Thank God Charles didn't hear him, because if Charles had heard him, it would have been World War III. I'm sure Charles would have been all over him. And that man looked like weak and flimsy. Like, no, he Charles would have wrapped him up and threw him out. So then Angela's like, who gave you license? Who gave him license to come and speak to me? I agree with her. Who is this man? And obviously, Charles didn't hear him, because it would have went left, And then Kelli goes over there to where that man was. Well, okay, that man said his name was Marcus. He said his name was Marcus. He introduced himself to Angela, and he said that your husband has came into my restaurant with another woman. But Angela was sitting there, seemed like she was not even fazed, though. That's another thing. Like, she wasn't rah-rah or anything like that. She was still calm, cool, and collective. Maybe because she knew she had to remain calm, cool, and collective so Charles doesn't freak out. But it was just weird to have a random person. And my question is, like, who sent you? Like, and then why production allowed him to come and approach her and confront her or say something to her. So the whole thing is shady. So hopefully they show us what happened and we can get to the bottom of it. But the whole thing is funky, and not funky in a good way. Not funky. Funky as in nasty. Okay. So then, so Kelli goes over to where he was, because after he said that to Angela, he went back outside of the camera to where the rest of his group was, and Kelly's over there standing and toasting with them. So then he does the toast. Marcus does the toast, says to someone named Angela, your husband's cheating on you. And then Kelly's like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not with all this. I'm not with all that. She calls security and have the security escort him out of Williams-Sonoma. Okay. And that was that of him. But my thing is, back in the day, watching Real Housewives of Atlanta, they used to have sidekicks like Miss Lawrence and Dwight and other people, random people. But they were their sidekicks, though, because they would be in different episodes and stuff like that. Like Miss Lawrence and Dwight, after a while, it was like they became almost like a cast members. They were there. And the other one, Jared J. But this guy is just random, out the blue, trying to figure out who sent him. Like Kenya said, who's this hoe? Who is this hoe? That's what we want to know. So hopefully they give us some background and some more information, because that was just random for somebody to just pop up and just try to confront Angela. Now, I didn't feel sorry for Angela, anything like that. I didn't feel sorry for anybody, but I just thought it was weird and odd. I was more irritated with production that they even allowed somebody to be able to come and approach her and question or say something like that to her. So we'll see what happens at the reunion regarding that matter. So the next thing, they go back to Britt's house and they're showing, Portia's still there, Cynthia's still there. And then Britt's little dog, Mimosa, I have to say this part right here. Mimosa was going around humping everything. It was humping. First, she was humping Portia. Then it was humping the couch. I mean, the pillow. And, yeah, you know how dogs are. That's an honorable mission, Mimosa. Then Phaedra was walking to her car. So the cookout competition at Williams-Sonoma was over. So everybody left. Then they show Portia walking to her car, and she calls, Phaedra, I'm sorry, y'all. Gosh. Phaedra is walking to her car, and she called Portia, and Portia, she was still at Britt's house. And then she calls her, and she's like, when Portia answers the phone, Phaedra says, hold on to your panties. A man came over and said he had a word for Angela. Your husband, Charles, is cheating on you. And then, of course, the girls were clutching their pearls and like, what? So Phaedra basically called them and told them, Marcus had came over to Angela and said he had a word for her, that Charles had been cheating on her, or he had came into his restaurant with another woman. So, and they were shocked to hear that, and they were surprised. And so that was that. Then the next, we have Phaedra at her Ivy Showroom preparing for the show, for the fashion show. And they're doing a walkthrough. And then Portia calls Phaedra to tell her that she would not be coming because her cousin Lonnie had just passed away. That was sad news. That was sad news for those of us who are fans of the show, who have been watching it for years. And then even when Portia had her own Portia Family Show, whatever it was called, and her cousin Lonnie was on that too. And that was shocking news to hear. It's so sad to hear of her passing. I do wonder what happened to her and how she passed, but they didn't talk about it on the show. They didn't elaborate. Portia didn't say anything about it. So our condolences to them, and prayers, our thoughts and prayers are with the Williams family. But yeah, so Portia was not able to make it to Dylan's fashion show at the Ivory. So then, Phaedra gets dressed, and she puts on this beautiful black dress that comes down all the way to the butt crack. So her, she always got to show booty. Her butt crack was showing. And then Kelli and Cynthia come. They show up first. And then Shamea, Angela, Britt, they showed up. And Phaedra tells Cynthia that, she looks beautiful in that dress. And the way Phaedra greets people is funny to me, because when Kelli came, she's all like rubbing on Kelly's boobies, and she made some sort of comment. I forgot what she said. She calls her strawberry shortcake because she's short, and but the facial expressions that Phaedra makes, and she's like, she's just funny and just extra, and just she's a character. I like Phaedra. And then so then when Britt comes, she speaks to everyone, and she also speaks to Kelli, and she's like, "Hi, Kelli." Kelli just ignores her. She completely ignores her. I thought that was childish. Like I say, listen, like I said before, I'm not a Britt fan, and I'm not a big fan of Kelli either. Like, Kelli is growing on me, but like I'm not a fanatic, okay, of Kelli. But I kind of felt like that was rude, disrespectful, and childish. She still could have spoke. Like, okay, we get it. You guys fell out. You don't fuck with her anymore. You don't like her. We get it. But she still could have spoke. I thought it was childish because she was like, she turned her face and she was like rolling her eyes, and she just completely ignored her. And then Britt was like, okay, well, I'm going to go get me a drink. I mean, in that moment right there, I did kind of low-key felt sorry for Britt, but oh, God, they're so draining, those two. So then Angela starts talking to them about the man, Marcus, that popped up at the cooking event, the cooking competition. She said that she did some research and investigation, and she said that he was paid to do what he did. And, she said that her and Charles have some people in Atlanta that don't play about her, that love them and don't play about them. So they did their own investigation and research, and they have determined that man was somebody sent for him. You know how Kenya has that saying, it says, "Don't come for me unless I send for you." And so apparently someone had sent for that man, and he was set up to do what he did. And Angela saying that he was also paid to do what he did. So that's the mystery. That's the $1 million question. Who sent him? Who paid him? Who set him up to do what he did? And hopefully we get to the bottom of it and we find out who did it, and if we don't find out this season on season 16, maybe we'll find out season 17. And 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 there are some rumors that maybe Angela did it so she can secure a spot for next year, because they get their contracts after the end of the like, okay, right now they're on this season, and then by now they should have their contracts, because Phaedra has already announced and said that she's coming for season 17. So maybe, I don't know, Angela could have done it, because Angela has told us that she's $2 million in debt from her real estate investment properties. I believe that she got on the show for the money. Obviously, I mean, they're all there for the money. Why, who would want to go through the stuff that they go through if it wasn't for the money? So, I can't just say Angela's there for the money. They're all there for the money. But specifically for her, because she said that she was $2 million in debt with her rental properties, and some of them have gone to foreclosure, that she's on the show, to secure some funds. And so by her probably having this drama with this guy named Marcus, we're all going to be curious to see if the story line will spill into next year, season 17, so we can really get to the bottom of it and see what happens. So, but we don't know. We don't know who sent him and who set him up. So the producer asked her if she was tied to the mob or something, because she said, she had people that don't play about her and Charles. So the producer was like, what, are you guys connected to the mob? Like, what's really going on? And she said, no, she's not tied to the mob. She said that her and Drew showed up and met up with the man, and and they had a conversation with him. And so then they showed Drew showing up late to the fashion show. So Phaedra said that the doors were going to be locked, I guess, for security purposes. So Drew shows up late as always, and they locked the doors. They didn't lock the door because Drew was late, or they didn't lock the doors to lock Drew out. They were just locking the doors, period. Phaedra did say that Drew had called her and told her that she was running late, but she still went ahead and locked the doors. So Drew was outside, locked out. She said she was late because of traffic, and, she showed proof that she was stuck in traffic. I believe her, because the traffic here is horrible. So, and then they show Kelli and Britt getting into it. So they're going back and forth and arguing at the fashion show, at Dylan's fashion show. Because really Britt started it, because she was being immature and rude and disrespectful, and she didn't speak to Britt. She doesn't have to like Britt. If Britt spoke to her, she could have been cordial. She could have said, hi, Britt. Kelli was like, Britt said, hi, Kelli. And then Kelli could have said, hi, Britt. And that's it. That could have been that. But she was being childish. So they get into an argument. They're going back and forth. They're arguing about the glam squad. And then they're like throwing jabs at each other. And then Kelli says something about, ask your roommate about your pill. She calls Britt a pill popper, basically. Okay. And then Britt gets mad. She says that she knows some stuff about Kelli. If she wanted to, she could have been really dirty and messy, and she could have laid out the whole clip. And I'm thinking like what? Don't say anything about pistols. Why would you say anything about laying out whole clips? Because that's what got you in trouble with Kenya. So it's like, why she always likes to talk about papows, So when she said that, I was like, oh, Lord. She said it in her confessional, but still. It's like, she always has to refer to papows. And then, so they're going back and forth in their arguments, and Britt says something about Kelli having I don't even know if I can say this word. She said, see, what's the word to use for that? Basically, she was pregnant by her husband, but she no longer was. Okay? Y'all know what that means. I don't want to say that word because I don't know if you can say that word here on YouTube or not. So I'm just going to say that she got rid of them. And that was wrong. So why, Britt says something about that. Obviously, if it's true, Kelli told her in confidence when they were friends. And so for her to say something like that, because they're arguing and they're going back and forth about stupid, petty stuff, I thought that was out of line. Like, I hate when you're best friends or you're friends with somebody and you share secrets, and then when you fall out or something happens or you guys are no longer speaking, then that person goes around spreading your secrets and telling the whole wide world, especially with them, because they're on TV, so it's all over the world. But even if you don't even have to be on TV, just the common person, the common average Joe, to do that was foul. This is why I don't like Britt. Like when she's right, I take up for her, and when she's wrong, she's wrong. So she was totally out of pocket to say that about Kelli, whether it was true or not. That's something that every woman who's experienced that or have done that, they hold those secrets. Some people take that to the grave. Actually, a lot of people take that. A lot of women don't even tell anybody. Their best friends, their husbands, their boyfriends. They don't tell nobody. They hold that secret in and they take it to the grave with them. And then there are some women who do share that information with someone that they feel that they can trust. And what Britt did there was nasty. It was very nasty work. Just because we're arguing or we're falling out right now, you didn't have to go below the belt. And then when Shamea and Cynthia were telling her she was wrong and she should have not said that, she says, well, she called me a pill popper. Okay, but that's not the same thing though. That's not on the same level. Calling someone a pill popper is like saying, oh, shut up, you crackhead, when that person's really not a crackhead. They probably have never smoked crack in their life, but you just say this, it's like saying, shut up, stupid. Like, it's nothing. It's like mediocre, small. But what she said and what she did, to me, in my eyes, in my opinion, is a big deal, because that's very personal, and that's that's a major situation, and that's something between you and God. And so that was foul. I think that was wrong, and that's probably why Britt decided not to go to the reunion, because she probably knew Kelli was going to get in that ass about that, and they probably would have went toe-to-toe about that. And, those other girls that probably would have came for her, but Kelli definitely would have came for her for that. So that's probably one of the reasons why she opted out to not go to the reunion and just sue Bravo like a punk, like a true punk. Like a true punk. So then they opened the doors and they let Drew and Toya from, is it her name, Toya? I think her name is Toya too. Married to Medicine. It's not Toya, Eugene's wife. Is Gregory's wife. What is her name? I think her name is LaToya. Gregory's wife. Y'all correct me in the comments, please, because I might be wrong. But anyways, one of the girls that married Quad's ex-husband from Married to Medicine, and Drew had an entourage with her. They all pulled up, and they opened the doors, so they let them in. They let them finish the fashion show. So once the fashion show was over, the boys walked down, Dylan and his brother walked down after the fashion show, and that was done. So then when the fashion show was done, Phaedra gathers all the girls. She tells them to come over here. I want to talk to you guys. I want to tell you why Portia was not here today. So she sat the girls down. She shares with the girls that Portia had called her and told her that her cousin Lonnie had passed, and that is why Portia was not there. And then, of course, Shamea starts crying. Well, everybody took it hard, Cynthia took it hard. Shamea took it hard. Shamea starts crying. Phaedra was comforting her. And, everybody was shocked and saddened. And that was that. That was the end of the episode. That scene was the end of the episode. So that was episode 16, season 16, Real Housewives of Atlanta. I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. Please subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when we upload the next video. Comment and like the video so the algorithm can push the video into the internet system. Okay? Well, thank you. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.